Joining us now in the studio is criminal lawyer Robb MacDonald. Get his take on all of this. You know what strikes a casual observer about Mr. Brazeau is he's in a lot of trouble with a lot of different people legally. He's got an assault case from last year. He's got one from this year. He's in trouble with the Senate. Who gets first crack at him?
Well, yeah, it does. It certainly, it's been piling on for Mr. Brazeau, and it seems to be going from bad to worse. So in terms of the order in which they prosecute him, it will typically go in the order in which the charges are laid, and he's starting out with fraud and breach of trust, and following that was the sexual assault and the assault allegation, and now, of course, the simple possession cocaine assault and the breach of his bail. So that will probably be last in line if he elects to go to trial on all of them.
Does his bail, do his conditions sound reasonable?
They do. I mean,
he's not getting special consideration.
Not at all. I mean, he's now on a curfew from 11 till 6 in the morning. That's pretty standard for someone who's dealing with or wrestling with alcohol and drug issues, and someone who's up for bail. Again, I mean, sometimes it's difficult to get bail at all, but the fact that he did is fairly standard. These aren't the most serious of allegations, so it wouldn't be a case where bail would be denied usually.
Justice is supposed to be blind, and when you get a celebrity defendant, they're supposed to be treated just like everybody else.
Yes.
Can that happen, really, in practice?
I think it does. I mean, if Mr. Brazeau was going to be going to trial, and let's say it was, if one of these ever proceeded to a superior court trial, which I don't anticipate, but if it did, they would be screening jurors and whatnot up front, and in all likelihood, he'll be proceeding to an Ontario court trial, I would guess, at least with respect to these most recent charges. And judges are skilled at what they do, are triers of fact. So I don't think a judge would be biased. And again, so far, his case is proceeding fairly typically.
And he's going to plead not guilty to all these charges.
Yeah, I mean...
That means what? He ends up in court?
Well, it means trial after trial. So typically, one doesn't actually plead not guilty until they're arraigned at the outset of their trial. But for him, he's indicated that he intends to plead not guilty, and he intends to fight these, and he's entitled to his day in court, as are all defendants, and we'll have to see how it shakes down. But for these recent charges, there's 2 complainants. It looks like it might be a difficult one.
And is there a sense of piling on when you're in court with a defendant who's facing multiple charges in different jurisdictions for different offenses? Is it difficult to treat this as a one-off by one guy and treat him solely on the case at hand, or does a judge and or jury tend to take all of this into consideration?
Well, if he was convicted of one of the in one of the early trials, and he went to court on a subsequent trial, and he testified, that could be used against him. So his rap sheet would be used against him, and so that would be something that the trier of fact would certainly be bearing in mind.
Robb MacDonald, criminal lawyer in Toronto. Good to see you. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much for having me.